Prime rib. Let's open this thing up. That is incredible. Today we are making a smoked porcini crusted prime rib with a roasted shallot brown butter jus. When you're making this dish, I encourage you to plan ahead, but it's still gonna cook for less than the time of a turkey and taste twice as good, I promise. Let's cook. Let's crust this beef. Take some olive oil, pour it into our bowl. We have this gorgeous everyday olive oil from our partner Bona Fortuna. We're gonna take this here, just gonna give it a brush, that olive oil. Now what this is gonna do, it's gonna help that seasoning adhere to the outside of this beef. So we don't wanna dust it on with the hope of creating a nice beautiful crust, only to have it fall off during the transportation process up to the smoker or while it's cooking. Now that we've got this nicely brushed, let's mix together our seasonings so that we can evenly coat this piece of meat. First, we're gonna go into our bowl here with about 1.5 tablespoons of our dried porcini powder. It's got an amazing amount of umami to it, and it's gonna help elevate the crust on this beautiful hunk of meat right here. A tablespoon of finely chopped rosemary, a tablespoon of freshly cracked black pepper, about 1.5 tablespoons of freshly cracked coriander seed, and 1 tablespoon of kosher salt. Now we're gonna add in our chopped parsley. Just gonna mix this up nicely. Now, season your beef. We talk about this a lot on this channel, but when you're seasoning, do it from up high. This will help you get an even distribution of herbs on your beef. I like to take my hand and put it right next to the meat that I'm seasoning and really help ensure that I'm getting as much as I possibly can onto the meat. We're just gonna pat that gently and help that crust adhere. I think that's looking pretty good. All right, so we're gonna take this, pop it right here onto our sheet tray, take it outside and put it in the smoker. So we've got our Traeger preheated to 250 degrees, but we're gonna wanna cook it until the center of the beef reaches 118 to 120 degrees. So we'll check in on that in just a couple hours. This has been cooking for about 4 hours. The temperature just reached 120 degrees. Let's take a look. Wow, that looks incredible. Let's crank up the heat to 400 and get a nice bark on this thing. And there we have it. About 4.5 hours on the smoker. The crust on this thing is incredible. It's cooked perfectly to 130 degrees. I'm gonna let this rest for about 25 to 30 minutes before I even touch it. Really let all of those juices inside redistribute before I slice this thing. And it is the perfect time to make our shallot brown butter jus. We're gonna take some shallots, slice these in half and peel them. To the pan, we're gonna add a little bit of cooking oil, swirl that around. Now that our oil is hot, we're gonna add our shallots. Cut side down. Those are starting to look really good. That's the type of caramelization we're looking for, right there. Now drop the heat a little bit, medium low. It's time to hit this with some butter. Just gonna move that around and cook it nicely until it's nice and browned. Okay, lower the heat. Now we're gonna put in about 1 cup of our beef bone broth to deglaze the pan. Meanwhile, scraping up any of that fond that we can. Okay, beautiful. Now let's let that reduce for about 10 minutes. Drop in some of our thyme sprigs, add our Dijon, splash of sherry vinegar, and let's whisk that in to emulsify. So we're gonna refine it a little and strain it through a fine mesh sieve. Just season with a little kosher salt, keep it nice and warm until we're ready to serve. Now, I just flipped over my cutting board to use this side with the grooves. Even though this has been resting for a while now, we're still probably gonna get some juices coming out of that meat. And using grooves like this is really gonna help capture those and not let the meat sit in its own juices and get too soggy. Find the longest blade you've got. This is a nice slicer here. I'm gonna slice this beef right between the bones. All right, so this smells incredible. I think we just have to taste it. My favorite piece is this rib cap right here. Wow, that is incredible. There's so much of that beautiful rosemary flavor and deep umami from that mushroom blend. Just look at the bark on that. Now it's time to get this plated. We're gonna start with a couple spoonfuls of that brown butter jus. Now we're gonna take that beautiful piece of meat, plate it right in the center. And there we have it, our smoked and porcini crusted prime rib with a roasted shallot and brown butter jus. And this is that main dish that's gonna have everyone asking for the recipe on Thanksgiving. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you try making this at home. And as always, you can find the link to the recipe in the description below.